How do you overcome the inevitable imposter syndrome that comes when you do something for the first time and it comes out way worse than expected? I've been struggling to polish metal to a perfect mirror surface and I feel like I'm going insane. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I spent some time with your question yesterday and today, and I really feel you. First of all, polishing metal to a perfect mirror surface is an intense occupation because you could take 150 grit finish and throw it on a polishing wheel, and from 10 feet away, it's gonna look pretty shiny. From a few inches away, it's gonna look like garbage. But like gloss shine can actually fool your eye from a distance. But you're trying to get a perfect mirror surface, which means you're hitting it with 150 grit, then 200 grit, 220, 350, 400, 600, 1,000. To get to mirror, man, you got to go to 5,000, 10,000. You're like talking lapping compounds. And the real trick to polishing mirror surfaces, man, is always going to be patience. You know, we can grind our own telescope mirrors and it's just the math of the lapping that you're doing with the glass blank. 20 strokes, turn it, 20 strokes, turn it, 20 strokes, turn it. And you're mathematically imparting wear in a regular fashion, but it's about patience. And so I came up with an equation for exactly this kind of thing. And so the equation is Q equals E+S+T. Quality, the overall quality that you're searching for, is equivalent to your experience plus your skill plus time. Now I'm separating experience and skill into two separate categories because they are. I have a huge amount of experience in a wide range of materials. I have skill at a smaller range of materials, but my experience in the wide range of materials makes the things I don't know about, makes me better at parsing and understanding things I don't yet know about. So skill is your specific talent with a specific process. And experience is your institutional knowledge of multiple processes and also of your own, what you are like, how you approach stuff. Your institutional knowledge has to accommodate for your own failings as a person or the things that, get you bent out of shape so you can run them off at the pass. Now, the lovely thing about this quality equals experience plus skill plus time, and I'm not positive this is 100% right. I just came up with this morning, but I like this because what you're asking is, what if I have no skill? What if I have no skill and I've got to just take my relative experience and time? Well, you can by increasing the time. So skill specifically can be substituted with time if you have enough time. I knew a guy years ago who was a mandolin player who's like, I want to build a mandolin. And he went and he bought a kit and he spent 7 months painstakingly turning that mandolin into a playable instrument. When he was done with it, nobody in the world could afford to pay him for the amount of time he put into it, hundreds and hundreds of hours. This is a, $10,000 mandolin, but it's his, and it's perfect. An experienced mandolin maker needs to make money on the clock, so they've learned to do it within X amount of hours so that the amount of money they receive for it pays them back for their time. But I love I love codifying here, both the difference between skill and experience and the fact that time can substitute for both or either. And that doesn't help you with the polishing because it just means that to get what you want, it's just going to take, there's no shortcut to a mirror finish. There are visual shortcuts from a distance, but no specific shortcuts. Yeah, I kind of like this. I'm going to keep playing with this. I think it's a pretty good concept. Okay, lots of questions coming in here. Farrell's props. Wow, I recently renewed my contract with the entertainment company I work for. Would you have any advice for negotiating and going over a contract? Yeah, I do. I have. Get a lawyer. That's the first one. Get a lawyer. I'm going to curse in just a second, but it's in the interest of good. I've said this before on the channel, but right now I'm going to say this to this gathered assembly. Go watch the YouTube video, Fuck You, Pay Me, by my great friend Mike Monteiro, a hero of the world. He brings his own lawyer to this talk. So, number one is get a lawyer. But I had contracts I had to go over before I had a lawyer. And here's what I did. The first time you read any contract, it's a mystifying ordeal. There's like 40, 50, 60 paragraphs. They all have whereas and all sorts of legalese language. And it feels like stepping into a whole nother linguistic plasma pool. But what I found was, and this is all like first season of Mythbusters. They gave us a contract, second season? Somewhere early on, they tried to get us to sign a new contract when we already had one. And the new contract was bad. It was a bad contract, Ripley. And the way I determined it was bad was I just kept on reading it. And I kept on going through all of it. And so, like, first of all, take a contract, plan to read it 3 times all the way through. That's the first step. You got to read it 3 times all the way through. And by the 3rd time, some of the turns of phrase are going to start to make sense to you. Here's the frame I hold when reading a paragraph from a contract. I think to myself, okay, this paragraph is explicating how we'll deal with something. If that thing happens, what is the best case scenario for them? What is the worst case scenario for them? What is the best case scenario for me? What is the worst case scenario for me? And if I can answer all 4 of those questions looking at this paragraph, I started to understand how these might affect me and benefit them, or benefit me and affect them. And that really started making it clear. And Jamie and I had fundamental disagreements about what that contract meant until we got a lawyer. And by the way, I was right. I was right. We were being asked to do something that wasn't quite legal, and the lawyer confirmed that, and that led to our first negotiation with a big media company, and it went spectacularly. Contracts are really difficult, which is why you want someone who's read the back of the box. That's a lawyer. They've read the back of the box of the rules, and the lawyer costs money. They will always end up in the long run making more money than they cost. It's the same thing with accounting. Once you get to a certain level with your finances, especially if you're freelance, you got to go get an accountant. And that first accountant bill you sign is going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, thousands of dollars for my taxes. And the answer is, it's at the level at which you need it, it is totally worth it. And the same is true for a lawyer. Negotiating the contract. That's the other reason you want the lawyer. The lawyer's there to create a bulwark between you and the entity you're negotiating with. Because if you're doing the negotiating, you could take it personally, they could take it personally, and you have a professional relationship to maintain. So it's best if no one gets emotionally activated during that negotiation, because you all have to work together. That's where the lawyer comes in as well. The lawyer is the bad guy. I can't tell you how many times I heard Discovery executives complain to me about my lawyer, which, by the way, is like high fives all around whenever I heard that. But that's what your lawyer is for. They're there to be the bad guy, the bad girl, the bad person. Go watch Mike Monteiro's video. We'll include a link in the description. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any last bits of advice around that negotiating thing. Yeah, I just say, that contract showed up and I read it and I didn't understand any of it. And then I just kept on reading it. Eventually things became clear. Eventually each paragraph was clearly about a certain kind of point. And like, there's all sorts of stuff like terms that you won't know, favorization status, etc. Get the lawyer. That's my first piece of advice. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to. And you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.